Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brian Grisham, Executive Secretary of the Post Commission. Welcome to the November 19th informal subcommittee hearings. First, I'm going to call the roll and see who is in attendance. First, the matter of Toby Michael Holmes, Grundy County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Holmes, are you in attendance? Please.
He's connected to audio, I think.
I see a mic. Holmes. Yeah. Okay. And Grundy County Sheriff's Office. Let's see, Sheriff Strum.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. You'll be first on the agenda today. Next, Michael Ryan Stroke, Charleston Police Department.
We're here.
Okay. Is Charleston Police Department here? Yes, I see.
Sir.
Okay. And then finally, Tyler Dale Temple. Mr. Temple.
Yes, sir. Sheriff Breedlove is here.
Is Mr. Temple here? Okay. We will ask later. First is the matter of Toby Michael Holmes. Mr. Holmes was found guilty of criminally negligent homicide on February 6, 2020 in Grundy County. Sheriff Schrum, could you tell us more about this issue?
Yes, sir. It was in a line of duty, and went to court. The district attorney decided to present it to the grand jury. They got a true bill, and unfortunately, he was found guilty of criminal homicide.
Agreement or couldn't hear you, Sheriff.
Can you hear me now?
Did this matter go to trial?
It did go to trial, and he was found guilty.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Sheriff Strong?
Sheriff Strum, could you just give us a brief summary what this case was about, what the circumstances of this homicide were, please?
Absolutely. Deputy Holmes was involved in a pursuit. At the end of the pursuit, with the information that we were given, the driver pointed a weapon at him. Deputy Holmes fired. There was a young lady in the vehicle that was struck, and the evidence presented, the grand jury or the jury felt like that the bullet is what killed her. We contested that she was dead from a drug overdose because she had 3,500 nanograms of methamphetamine in her system, which is a lethal dose. They didn't see it that way. And so, unfortunately, we're dealing with this as a matter of post procedure. I do believe there's an appeal in process. I know that Mike is on here and he could tell you a little more about that, but we're here to go through the post process. It's been a difficult time for us.
Sheriff, I'm just a little bit curious, I suppose, and I don't. First of all, this is in the appeal process. When was the trial in this case?
The trial was this past February. We filed the paperwork in April. I guess through Mr. Fitzhugh's retirement, it didn't get processed like it needed to be, and so now here we are.
Okay, so the appeal has the record been prepared? Is the appeal in process? Have they filed an appeal yet, or where are we on that right now?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I couldn't answer that for sure. I know that maybe Mike could answer that for you.
Okay. Well, my guess is I do a lot of work. My regular job is in the criminal appellate section of the Attorney General's office. So I know that the appeals can take some time. So I understand that that's something that you would be concerned with. I suppose the other part of this, I mean, was there a problem with the shooting? You indicated that this gentleman that Deputy Holmes was chasing drew a weapon and aimed it at Deputy Holmes, and then he fired basically in self-defense. Is that right? I'm sorry. Are you muted? I can't hear you.
It's okay. It says I'm muted by the host.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. That's how we see it. I believe there were some questions about the vehicle being in retreat and shots fired into the side and the back of the vehicle is what caused the concern in this issue. I've never been privy to the TBI investigative file. They have never given that to me. So I've not been able to see all of their findings.
But I guess the bottom line, though, is that he was convicted, and with that conviction, you really can't keep him around. Is that kind of your view on this?
If there was a way I could, I would. I have a good relationship with Mike, but through the post procedures, I have to submit this decertification.
Right. Mr. Grisham, do we need to wait until this is the appeals are complete on this, or is it appropriate for this to go forward at this stage? How does that play in to our procedure? Brian, did you hear that?
I believe he's muted.
Can you hear me now? See,
Yes. We're not hearing anything. Oh, okay, we can hear you now.
Yes. We can't summarily take disciplinary action on him in the subcommittee. It would be referred to the full commission, but it would not be unusual to hold this in abeyance. Just keep this certification inactive while the appeal process is going. Conviction is really good work.
I don't know if this is a premature motion, but I would make that motion to hold this in abeyance until the appellate process is concluded, and then we can look at it again.
Before we have a second, I'd like to allow Mr. Holmes to speak if he wants to.
Can you hear me? I'm just here. I want the commission to know that I do care about these proceedings, and I understand the post rules. And in answer to Mr. Terry's question, the notice of appeal was filed about 3 weeks ago. We were given an opportunity by the judge. We filed a motion for a new trial. The circuit judge allowed us to file a brief, and was going to give the DA's office 2 weeks to respond, and then us 2 weeks to respond back. But instead, about 4 days after the hearing, he made a decision and filed it that he denied my new trial. So we moved forward with the appeal process.
So you are going to file with the Court of Appeals, I guess, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir. That's in process right now. I believe, according to my attorneys, we've got about 45 days to file that, but it's very close to ready to file. But we did file a notice of appeal.
Any other, we have a motion, do we have a second to postpone this pending the appeal process?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner
Aye.
Commissioner Cherry,
Aye.
Commissioner Bello,
Aye.
Martin. And Commissioner.
No. All right, the ayes have it. We will postpone this matter. Holmes, it's incumbent upon you and or your attorney to let us know the outcome of that appeal process. In the meantime,
Absolutely.
application is in.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
All right, now, next, the matter of Michael Ryan Strope, Charleston Police Department. Mr. Strope, are you in attendance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Charleston Police Department.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Strope was found to have altered his DD 214 to remove the boxes at the bottom so that employing agencies would not see a reason for separation. Mr. Mines, you want to discuss this first?
Yes, sir. I received a call from Lieutenant Quinn from Bradley County SO, who was inquiring about Mr. Stroke and some information that they could not find in NCIC, but one of her clerks located it and asked us had he already received a waiver on these particular charges. I went into Acatus and I did not see a waiver on those particular charges and asked them to send them to me so we can research them. While looking at his file, I noticed that his DD 214 was not a whole DD 214, and I looked back just thinking that that's the way it was copied to him. Upon looking from when he came to the academy, he presented a DD 214 that had the bottom two lines cut off of it. He from the academy to Grundy County, and that same DD 214 was in there. He applied to Charleston Police Department with that same DD. And then at this particular time, he was applying to Bradley County, and he presented that same DD 214. Lieutenant Quinn happened to be helping the Charleston police chief with his Acatus, and she remembered him presenting that DD 214. Was on hold. That was some of my sources at the Department of the Army. That's the whole DD record. Getting that whole DD 214. Here, the characteristic of service was honorable, but the bottom two parts of it was cut off. When it said that he had a personality disorder, and at that particular time, I notified Lieutenant Quinn on that, and then I also notified the police chief at Charleston, and because it appeared that he had altered the DD 214 to not show that it had a personality disorder, even though he had an honorable DD 214. I eventually got with the Charleston police chief. We had a phone conversation with Mr. Stroke and talked to him about that. He admitted on the phone that he did cut it off, and it was more so an embarrassment of it being a personality disorder because it's more so PTSD, but he just didn't want them to see that part because he did get an honorable discharge. Now, it was altered not to show that, and it did not give a clear picture of the employee agencies and or the academy to which he attended.
Okay, Charleston represented by Chief Stokes. Is that who's in attendance here?
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything to add to what Mr. Mines said?
Oh, sir, that sounded very correct.
Commissioner, do you have any questions of the chief or Director Mines?
Yeah, Commissioner Grisham, my name is Patrick Henry. I represent Mr. Strope. We're here in my office. I had some issues with audio coming through when Commissioner was giving his version of the events. I would like to get some clarification as to what led to this inquiry into the file to begin with, please. That cut out.
Yes, sir. As I stated, I received a call from Quinn from the Bradley County Sheriff's Office, who stated to me that they noticed that Mr. Stroke, who was applying for a job there at their agency, had some things in NCIC, and they wanted to know if this had already been waived, being that he was already a officer. Upon my looking through there to see if a waiver was in his record, I did not notice anything in his record that had been waived, but I did notice that there was a DD 214 that appeared to be.
Okay. I guess my question would be, what were the alleged infractions that were showing in an NCIC check?
The county has not sent that to me because upon us finding this information out and contacting the Charleston Police Department with respects to termination, I believe, and Bradley County stated that they would probably not on that fact. So I never received the actual NCIC information from them because it did not come in his pre-employment packet that they would have sent.
Okay. But there should be a letter in his file dated July 25th of 2018 from Chief Stokes of the Charleston Police Department indicating there was no NCIC records found. Is that in his file?
I'm not looking at his record right now, however I can. This was information that was concerning to Bradley County SO because she did help Chief Stokes with hiring him at Charleston, and it did not come up then. They had found it, most of them hiring him at Charleston, while they was inquiring about it.
Okay. Was there any indication of where this alleged record was generated?
It was generated while they were looking him up through NCIC based upon what Lieutenant Quinn stated to me.
Can I rephrase that question? Is there any indication what jurisdiction this alleged infraction was to have occurred?
Not that I recall at this time.
In reference to the DD 214, the status on there is honorable, correct?
Yes, sir. The characterization of service.
And if memory serves me correctly, I was officer a long time ago and served for about 20 years over here in East Tennessee. And it seems like, and I think the process is much similar now, that when you make your initial application to the academy, you have to submit those records if you served in the military, correct?
Yes, sir.
You also have to submit those same records again each time you change departments in your pre-employment package, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and from the information that I've heard presented today and what I've discussed with my client is these records have been the same each and every time they've been submitted up until this last point. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And nothing on the record indicates any change in his discharge status. Is that correct?
Not in the characterization of service. No, sir.
Okay. And while the copy that was recently submitted showed a personality disorder that you characterize as potentially PTSD, that is not necessarily a bar to being disqualified as a law enforcement officer either, is it?
Not a disqualification because of the proper characterization of service. There was a problem, and that may go, may have looked at it in the past, but when we got a complete copy, it was clear that even though he had the correct characterization, he had altered the DD just to not show that particular part of personality disorder, because even though he had fair to the agencies and any other candidates, see what the narrative reason for separation was for a complete DD 214.
I understand what you're saying, sir. I guess my question is, if a person necessarily has PTSD, that would not disqualify them under the current post rules, would it?
No, sir.
Okay. And in fact, he would have had to take a psychological exam to meet the requirements as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at any point, did you reach out to Mr. Strope about how these records are generated and sent into the commission, whether it be through the academy process or when he was seeking employment?
We discharge what the reason for not wanting that part, more so him being ashamed that he said personality disorder, even though he got an honorable discharge, and he admitted he did not want that to be seen.
And that was a conversation with Mr. Strope.
Chief,
Chief, I'm sorry. Your audio cut out. Commissioner Grisham, I guess at this point, I'd like to ask my client some questions, or at least let him his versions of the events, if that's okay.
Your, both applications there is no indication history. Academy advertising. There is a license. History that would have disqualified him. So I don't know what Bradley County was willing to do. Yeah, sir, you can go ahead and ask some questions of Mr. Stroke. That'd be fine.
Thank you. Mr. Strope, could you explain to the commission how you originally came into possession of your DD 214?
I received my DD 214 upon discharge from the United States Army.
Okay. And in fact, you also served in the Navy, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How many total years of service to this country did you have?
A little over 10 and a half years, sir.
All right. And at the time you applied to the Law Enforcement Academy, where did you apply?
I applied it through Cleveland State.
And you provided these copies that the commission shows has the bottom two.
Yes, sir, I did.
And those were the copies that you had in your possession, correct?
Yes, sir. Those were the copies that I had in my possession at the time.
And have you actively, where did you get those?
I got those. Those were made with my DD 214 back in 2009.
Okay. And was that the only copy you had when you applied?
Yes, sir, it was.
And is that the same copy you've used up until this incident?
Yes, sir.
And have you sought to seek any clarification as to why there's something missing on that?
I realized after Director Mines brought it up that the lower sections were missing. I have a, right here, if you can see, if the commission can see where I have requested my DD 214s twice. One was in August 20th, 2012, when I lived in Iowa. And the second time was 5/16/2018 when I lived here in Tennessee. During that move, I lost my DD 214. from my move to Iowa to Tennessee. Let's see if they can see these or not.
And at any point were you trying to not disclose the reason why you were discharged or why you got out of the military?
No, sir.
Have you ever had any discussions with anybody about the reason why you got out of the military?
Director Mines called me when I was out playing golf. I was put on administrative leave by Chief Stokes. During that time frame, I was out playing golf, and I was trying to comprehend everything that was going on, and I had a couple beers while I was playing golf. Who doesn't? And that's when I told Director Mines I was just agreeing, basically, which I know this is not what it looks like.
But you were in no way trying to be deceptive with the commission or any employer regarding your
No, sir.
military status or service.
No, sir. And Chief Stokes knows my whole ordeal with the military service. I've talked to Chief Stokes plenty of times about it.
And it's your desire to continue to serve the citizens of the state of Tennessee as a law enforcement officer.
Yes, sir.
And Commissioner Grisham, we have some supporting documents that I really didn't know how to get those before the commission. We can send a copy in for review if necessary. I saw how you guys did that split screen. I don't know how to do that. I'm a
This one here,
technical.
This one here, I sent to Director.
That's all I would have other than a brief statement in support of Mr. Stroke.
What did Mr. Stroke just say about he sent? Which one did he send? We got several documents. What did you say you had sent?
I think he sent the request where he requested his military records back in.
I sent that in, and Chief Stokes sent these in, if I remember correctly.
I think there should be a letter from the National Personnel Records Center where the request was made, and it was a response back to Mr. Stroke in regard to his request, as well as the second request where he tried to get a corrected copy of his DD 214.
She stated to me that he brought in this time. William stated he did not have a complete copy.
Director, we can't, your audio's breaking up here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
About the DD 214, and I asked her to ask Mr. Stroke for a complete copy if he had one, and she stated to me that he had just brought me waiting to send him the copy from her. She stated to me that he would be in to her at that time.
Assistant Director Mines, that when you came through, it was all static. We couldn't understand exactly what you were saying, sir. There was a lot of static on your end.
So, can everybody else hear me?
Not really.
One second. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So what I was saying is that it was stated that Mr. Stokes was trying to get a complete copy from 14th Department of the Army. However, when Mr. Stroke applied at Bradley County, and I asked her if she could see if she can get a complete copy from him, she stated to me that he had just brought in a complete copy of his DD 214. At a particular point, we knew he had a copy of the correct DD 214 in his possession. She did not send that to me because I already had a complete copy here that was already sent to me.
Okay. Were you aware that at the time Bradley County may have discovered this discrepancy, that Mr. Strope actually went to the VA and provided them with a corrected copy?
Can you guys hear me now? Anybody?
Yeah, we hear you.
Little, it's cutting in and out.
Okay, I'm gonna try to speak a little slower. We're obviously having some Wi-Fi issues here. What was that when Mr. Stroke at Bradley County, with Lieutenant King, I spoke to her. Where she could ask Mr. Stroke
Okay, I can't hear you anymore.
Talk next to him right now. Say something.
Check.
Turn those lights on.
Yes.
Or is that my phone?
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
It's still breaking up.
There's a lot of static and popping going on.
Is the static and popping is present when I speak?
Yes.
That's why.
Yeah, turn it on. Turn it on.
It's on. It's on.
Can everybody hear me now?
That's better.
Sound a lot better.
Here we go.
Okay. So what I stated is when Mr. Stroke applied at Bradley County, I spoke with Lieutenant Quinn and asked her if she could get
him to bring her a completed copy of the DD 214. When Lieutenant Quinn called me back, she stated that he had just brought in a completed copy of the DD 214. It was just stated that he was trying to get a completed copy from the Department of Army, and I just wanted to make the record clear that he brought her a completed copy of the DD 214.
And I guess the point being, maybe that's the first time he realized or was notified that the copy he had previously submitted was not sufficient. Would that be fair?
I'm not sure if Lieutenant Quinn has spoke to him prior to me or prior to me speaking with him, but that could be fair.
I mean, it just stands to reason if he used the same copy to apply to the academy and to Grundy County and to Charleston, and there was another sheriff's department in there too, and he submitted the same form over and over. It's not until he tries to go to Bradley County when he's alerted to this potential problem.
When I reviewed this was my original thought, that it was just copied improperly, and that if he just sent us the original of what so we could put it in his record, it can be clear. However, when we asked him for it, he did bring a copy in there. When we spoke to him, he did admit that he, with intention, cut that part off because he did not want to be perceived as someone who could not be a police officer based upon personality disorder.
And you heard his testimony here today that when you had that conversation, he was having a few drinks at the golf course, correct?
I did, sir.
Director Mines,
Yes.
I have a question real quick. Okay. For one, I have never talked to Lieutenant Quinn about my discharge paperwork. Chief Stokes called me and told me that he needed me to bring my full copy down to him, and I ended up going to the VA because I was always told when discharge paperwork, either leave it in a fire safe at your house, a safety deposit box at a local bank, or the register of deeds, or keep it at the VA. And that is when I went to the VA office and I told Chief Stokes that I had to go there. I picked it up and I did take it down to Chief Stokes at his house.
Mr. Strong, this is Commissioner Parker.
Yes, sir.
Did you intentionally alter your DD 214?
No, sir.
He said no, sir.
That's correct. He said no, sir.
Did you never had a conversation with anybody with the Post Commission or Bradley County Sheriff's Department about a altered DD 214? That is your testimony today.
Yes, sir. I never had a conversation with the Bradley County Sheriff's Office about an altered DD 214. I did have a conversation with Director Mines and Chief Stokes over a phone call when I was at the golf course playing golf when I was put on administrative leave, sir.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
Chief Stokes is on the phone with respect to that conversation.
I'll make a motion to stand with the agenda reference Mr. Strode to withdraw his post commission.
You would need to refer this to the full commission.
Make a motion to refer it over to the full board.
We have a motion to refer this to the full commission for disciplinary hearing. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I'll just jump in for a moment.
Mr. Chair, you're muted.
The whole issue here has to do with credibility, and I think, if I understand the positions of the parties here, it appears that Mr. is contending that he did not know that the form was incomplete, and he submitted it thinking that it was, and that he never intended to deceive or mislead anyone. And it appears also that Mr. Mines had a conversation with Mr. Strope, where Mr. Strope admitted that he cut off that lower portion of his DD-214 to avoid any reference to his to the reason for his discharge, even though it was honorable. The personality disorder was something he was embarrassed about. I think I've got that all right. And the problem we have is that by the simple fact, if it is a fact, if it was found to be a fact that he altered that D-214, even though having all that information would not have made a difference in his being hired and being able to act as a police officer, the deception is the problem. So that is something that we've got to resolve. We've got conflicting testimony here, conflicting issues, and that's something that we really need to take up to the full commission. So I think I've got all that right. If I don't have that summarized correctly, I hope someone will correct me.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Cherry,
Aye.
Commissioner Bello,
Aye.
Commissioner Pardon. And I'm seeing Commissioner Wright.
I'm gonna abstain from this one.
Okay. The ayes have it. The matter is going to be referred to the full commission for formal disciplinary proceeding. Mr. Strope and your attorney, if you can send us some communication, identifying yourself as an attorney of record, we will communicate with you when this matter is hit. Our legal division will work with you towards the setting of this for a formal disciplinary proceeding.
That's fine, Commissioner Grisham. I actually sent an email to Mr. Murphy yesterday afternoon. I can.
Okay.
If
You got it. You got it. Okay. Good. Okay. We will notify you of any further developments, but there will be a UAPA hearing before the full commission on this matter in the future.
That be in person?
Well, we're doing it remotely now, so I'll have to defer to legal counsel. Ms. Cooper, are we doing these virtually?
It's the plan. Yes, sir.
Yes, it's possible it'll be virtual.
And I understand that it's a fluid situation. I've gotten 3 different orders from 3 different courts in the last 48 hours about how we're moving forward managing dockets under the new COVID uptick here in the state. So I appreciate the commission giving us an opportunity to speak, and we'll handle it either way we need to.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Next to the matter of Tyler Dale Temple, formerly of the Cheatham County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Temple was terminated due to policy violations stemming from an off-duty assault charge in Nashville, Tennessee. Sheriff Breedlove, would you like to speak to this matter, please?
He's muted, boss.
You're muted, Sheriff Breedlove.
Thank you, Brian, for that. Thank you. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This was an incident that happened on December 26, 2018, the day after Christmas. Tyler, along with another deputy and a city police officer, were at the Top Golf facility in Nashville. while they were there, as they were leaving, they went to a restroom. The outside lobby area showed them going into the restroom and coming back out shortly afterwards. When they came back out, they were it was obvious they were in a hurry to get out and get to the parking lot. But several weeks later, Tyler came to me and said that Metro Police had been wanting to talk to them about an alleged assault that occurred. And so I asked Tyler to go ahead and write up a report along with the other deputy of what took place. And in their write-up, they said they went into the restroom and there was an individual in the stall who was belligerent and intoxicated and was aggressive toward them. And they said that what they did was push him back kind of into the stall to kind of de-escalate, and then left. From the video, it showed them leaving, but it also showed a patron going in as they were leaving the restroom. And then right quickly after that, a manager also went into the restroom. It was apparent from the video that there was some loud noises going on from the restroom because you could see other customers turning their heads toward the restroom door, and that's what caused the manager to go in there. They reported that they found the victim on the floor, bleeding and also injured. He was injured somewhat severely, and he had a broken nose and a few other, I think, an orbital laceration and all. Tyler's report of the assault did not match the physical evidence and interviews of other witnesses based on Metro Police examination. We also found, as the investigation was going, that Tyler, shortly after the assault, he bragged about assaulting the victim to two other police officers. They in turn came forward and gave statements to Metro Police. We went through the administrative investigation hearing, and we showed that he had violated several departmental policies. And also, at that point, I decided to terminate him. During the course of the termination, he became very arrogant and non-remorseful and denied he did anything wrong. It showed that he failed to be truthful from the start. He did commit a criminal assault there in another county in Nashville. He was charged and pled, and also later paid for all the medical all the medical bills and all that from the victim. We know he did brag about it and lied about it later. He violated sheriff officer's policies, as I said. Even up to this day, he's shown no remorse for his actions, even after pleading. Tyler is just, he was given another chance from another department. We gave him the opportunity, and his maturity level, also his arrogance that he carries around, he does not have the integrity to be a Tennessee law enforcement officer, and that's why I request that his certification be revoked.
Okay, commissioners, you have any questions of Sheriff Breedlove?
Sheriff, I just have a couple questions about his court proceedings. I don't know if you're privy to all this information or not, but what was he actually convicted of?
He was charged with assault, and he pled no contest. So I don't know if it was reduced down to a misdemeanor. I don't think it was, but he was put in a position where he has since, I think, had it expunged.
Do you know, was there any kind of judicial diversion in this case?
No, sir.
There are expungement papers attached to your paperwork, commissioners. It's the last, I think, 2 pages of your paperwork. He has had it expunged.
He had a prior DUI, so I don't think he was eligible for a diversion.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, any other commissioners have questions? All right, Mr. Temple?
Hello?
Now, Mr. Temple, can you tell us your side of the story, please?
Yes, sir. On December 26th, I was with my patrol sergeant and another officer with Ashland City. We did go to Topgolf. There was an incident that occurred in the bathroom. That incident did involve a fight. The fight was not a broken nose and orbital laceration. That was never brought to court. That was never shown proof that we caused any kind of aggravated damage to him. It was actually brought to light in court and through the entire investigation that he was the one who slung the door open and approached me and my sergeant. Yes, I did grab a hold of him and push him into the wall back in the stall where he came from. At that time, the Ashland City officer and my sergeant came in right after that, and I was holding the guy. Yes, there were words exchanged. Whenever my sergeant came in and grabbed his arm, I kind of had him pinned against the wall. The Ashland City officer pulled my sergeant out, and they walked around the corner. Whenever they walked around the corner, the guy started getting kind of loose from me, and that's whenever I turned him, and whenever I did, I saw him ball his fist up and do this, like fix his jacket, and he balled his fist up. When I saw that, that's when I did strike him. I did punch him. I hit him one time in the face. That was it. I did not beat him past the point of consciousness like we were accused of. I did not lacerate his face. He had a busted nose and facial bruising. There was no laceration or anything like that, and it was all in this area. I can't justify or try to downplay that I did get involved in something. Did I withhold the information from the sheriff? Yes, I did. I fell short to having character issues because there were certain people who knew the truth. To be said that I was going around bragging, that's coming from a fellow deputy who I just happened to have recently arrested her brother. I had no prior outside of work conversations with her on a regular basis. And then the other one came from a opposite shift supervisor that heard a sidebar conversation. And whenever I had a bunch of people asking me, hey, what happened? What happened? I wasn't bragging whenever I said, oh, I whipped somebody's hind end or beat somebody up. I literally was telling the same people, we're being accused of a fight. I'm being accused of aggravated assault. We were being threatened with a bunch of felonies. And I got to the point to where I was just telling people, if that's who y'all think I am, just believe what you want to believe. That all got very, very, very manipulated. Tom Brosselin with Kingston Springs Police Department put in a statement that I had a conversation with him one day at dinner, but that conversation I know never occurred. The conversation he's referring to is a conversation that me and my sergeant had outside of a MAPCO, and he pulled up while we were talking about the situation, and it was never at dinner. It was never me being in a bragging way about it. Me and my sergeant were friends for 10 years, and we might see each other once a year now, and that's in passing. This entire incident has humbled me. To be sit there that I haven't been regretful about it is not true at all. The last post meeting, I apologized to the post commission. I apologized to Dale Smith, who represented the department. I wanted him to apologize verbatimly face to face to the sheriff. I have reached out to Lieutenant Bamman and Chief Deputy Binkley once or twice. I know a few times to Lieutenant Bamman in regards to maybe getting a meeting with the sheriff. I've just never heard anything back on it. Only thing that I can say is it's an incident that happened 2 years ago. I don't want it to justify me. I was not charged with aggravated assault. When everything came down in court, I was given a judicial diversion. I was put on 1 year of probation. All that was completed. Because the man did not submit any documentation, I did not have to pay back anything when it comes to medical bills or any expenses, because he refused medical treatment. He got medical treatment when he got back to Kentucky almost 24 hours later. I was willing to pay and do whatever I had to do to get this behind me. I invested a lot of money in the front end because we, as a group, me, Officer Garrett, and Sergeant Fox, were being threatened with felonies. That's why I opened up to a few people. Was, what do you do? The attorney I hired verbatimly told me, don't say nothing to nobody, keep your mouth shut, and, basically we'll just go with the proceeding side. Did Sheriff Breedlove have a meeting with me in the office? Yes, he did. Was Lieutenant Beckman there? Yes, and my sergeant. We were asked to both to give statements. I turned my statement into my supervisor, and he got it from there. Was my statement 100% truthful? No, it wasn't. I do have remorse and regret for that. I wish I would have gotten on that mountaintop and sang. But at the time, I panicked. I listened to a few other people who have either been terminated from that agency, quit from that agency, or just no longer work there. They kind of gave me a little bit of sight on what they would do, and it was not the right course of action. Sheriff, I'll say again, I do apologize for putting a bad light on the department. It was never anything I intended to do. Too much, the day before all that happened, I was proud as could be that you gave me a diploma for me and everything Team Cheatham wanted. That one incident, I should not justify my career. I honestly don't think should justify me. I've never had a conversation with you since you terminated me. Yes, I was frustrated, and yes, I was upset when I got terminated. I was not trying to be arrogant. I'm a passionate person. When I get upset about something, I get red-faced and I start talking loudly. I knew what I did was wrong in the gate, but I didn't want to honestly betray my friends rather than just answer to the call and the music that I knew was going to be coming from you. I didn't have my faith in my employer, which was 100% wrong with me. You did give me an opportunity to work there. So did Ashland City. I left Ashland City on good terms, and I worked very, very hard to stay at the department and try to be everything I was. But when it comes down to a lot of the situation, what you've been told and what's actually happened it doesn't line up. But at the end of the day, it's been 2 years. I haven't had an issue. I finished everything the state wanted me to do. I don't know how to get this behind me to move on. I guess today is that day. I would like to keep my certification. I honestly do believe that I'm a good police officer. If you didn't believe that, I don't think you would have given me a plaque at a Christmas party. That incident was outside of work. I don't have uses of force. I don't have any questionable cases or arrests. When I became a cop, I did change my life. My child's changed my life. I had a lapse of judgment that I knew when I left your office that day, I was going to end up getting fired, and this was going to be a bigger storm. That's why whenever you fired me, I was at the Metro DA's office telling my side and what really happened. I knew had to try to fix it. The other two that were involved, they didn't get charged with nothing. They kept their mouth shut. One of them's a police officer again, and the other one, my understanding, has an opportunity to come back. I went to admit my wrong and try to fix it because I knew what I did was wrong. I wasn't trying to hide nothing. That's why I was willing to do whatever the state told me. But whenever the truth came out that we didn't jump him, we didn't beat him past the point of consciousness, that he was the one that was threatening us, did I put my hands on him? Yes. Should I have? Absolutely not. But if it wouldn't have been me and him, it would have been me, him, or another one of the people there. And, should I have walked away? 100%. But at that time, yeah, we had drinks. Yes, we're there for a work Christmas party, but we weren't highly intoxicated. Our entire bill was $67 a piece for 5 hours. that was split 5 ways from the 5 cops that were there. It was blown up to be some type of like raging party and, cops out of control. It wasn't. They knew who we were. We called ahead to get a reserved area because we didn't want to have a bad exposure to our departments. It just ended badly. It was a minute and 42 seconds that I absolutely do wish I could take back. I wish I would have stayed and told Metro what happened. I don't know if it would have been the same outcome, but at least it would have gotten handled then. And then I wouldn't have had that big stake to drive of, do I veer left and just tell the sheriff and trust my employer that he's going to have my back? Or do I trust these guys that I work with and, my best friend of 10 years, what do I do? I was in a bad spot. Then I was thinking, I have at the time, a 2-year-old child. My fiance wasn't working. I had a lot to lose, and I made the bad choice. I should have got on that mountaintop and sing, and I do wish I could take it back. I can't, and I can't keep beating myself up over it because I've done that for almost 2 years. And to be ran through the news media and ran through every outlet in the county where I'm from, where I was born and raised, and have people turn their nose up to you, it's been humiliating. To even show face at Walmart has been awful. People don't understand the realization of that. And I do want it to end. I want to be able to rebuild my name and rebuild my reputation that it was 2 days before this fight happened. And I think that it was what Mr. Breedlove said. And that's, I was good in leadership, tentative, respectful, and everything Team Cheatham wanted. I don't think that this minute and 42 should dictate the first 30 years of my life or the next 30 years, which I do hope will be in law enforcement.
Mr. Temple, can you hear me?
I heard you.
Mr. Temple, can you hear me?
Barely, sir.
How many times have you been arrested in your life?
I was arrested in 2012 and then in 2019, twice.
2012, what was that charge?
DUI.
Were you in law enforcement at that time?
I was a dispatcher and then hired by that same agency. Yes, sir.
And how did they handle that DUI to get you hired?
We came in front of the post commission for a waiver, and the waiver was granted.
You've been before this commission before asking for mercy to be in law enforcement, and you're back on the second time. Is that my understanding?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that had you stayed as a law enforcement officer, state of Tennessee, at that location that night and called Metro Police to come and handle that situation, that the outcome might have been different?
Yes, sir, I do.
I make a motion based off of his own testimony today that we move this forward over to the full commission.
Second. A motion and a second from, is that Commissioner Wright?
Correct.
Yes. Any discussion?
I do have a question.
Okay.
I've already came in front of the commission once on this, and this is the second time. How long would it potentially be for that, I guess, full board meeting?
With the difficult times in the virtual hearing process, it may be well into next year. Ms. Cooper, can you shed any light on that? How many cases we have pending?
We currently have about 25 that are in the pipeline for hearings and or settlement. Mr. Temple, I've already got your email address and your phone number, so I'll be talking to you after the meeting today and see when we can get it set up, okay?
All right. I mean, and I'm just curious, does this mean that I can seek for employment and my post is still valid, or do I just need to wait another year?
Your certification is still valid. You ought to be very forthright with any prospective employer that you got a pending matter before the commission.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion, commissioners?
I would just like to point out, maybe for Mr. Temple's benefit as much as anyone's, that, you know, at least in my perspective, as I looked through the materials in this case and I looked at the statements that were made and then the statements were made later, I think the situation in the restroom at the golf course is something that is understandable by a lot of people, and forgivable perhaps. The part that is more disturbing to me is the lack of total candor in that first statement, and not telling the whole story about what happened. And I think that is what raises the bigger question in my mind. Perhaps that's the greater problem with the department. So I just wanted to lay that out for him.
Okay. Any other discussion?
May I add something, gentlemen, ladies?
Yeah.
And I can understand things do happen. And one of the things when I came into office, and I stress all the time when new deputies come on board, is no matter the situation, is tell the truth. To tell the truth and the facts as they are, as you know them. Because once you lie, you lose your integrity, not only with the public, but with your peers and everyone. And that's something that I so stand against is lying. And this is what happened here. It's not so much about the fight. Anybody can get into that situation like that. And what really disturbed me is these were 3 sworn law enforcement officers that left a man bleeding. They did not render any aid. They left quickly. And that's what really got to me. And then it wasn't a minute and 40-something seconds. It was months and months of taking up Metro Police's time and our time and going through this cloud of 6 months of getting to the truth. And it took months to get to the truth. And that's where we are. And that's just the whole difference is we're already in a cloud among the perception of the public. And I can't stand by and let someone who intentionally lies or covers up to wear a badge in this office. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any other discussion? The motion.
I'd just like to take another second to apologize to Sheriff Breedlove. It was not my intentions to betray your trust or bad light on the department. It was never that. I know how it looks, and I understand your anger and frustration, and I get it. It wasn't on purpose. I did make a mistake, and that's why I'm here to face it. Doug did the same thing, but I'm not here for that. But I want you to know I do apologize.
And I accept your apology, Tyler.
We have a call for the question. The motion is to refer this to the full commission. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cherry,
Aye.
Commissioner Billow,
Aye.
Commissioner Pardon, Commissioner Wright.
All right. This matter will be referred to the full commission. Mr. Temple, keep in touch with us if your address or numbers change in any way so we can stay in contact with you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, that concludes today's meeting. Thank you everyone for your attendance. Regular business meeting, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Sheriff.
And Director? Still there?
Oh, I signed off. What does he need?
Well, I can hear you though. I apologize for some issues there trying to get on. Was that on my end or was that something potentially on that side? I just don't want to have that happen more.
You just all of a sudden showed up on my screen.
Yeah.
As soon as you tried to get in, she let you in. So you must not have.
I must not hit all the buttons to get there on time.
We had all kinds of technical difficulties too, so.
Well, I'll make sure I hit all the buttons tomorrow. Thank you, guys.
Well, we won't be using this mic tomorrow.
Guys, we emailed out all kinds of social security numbers in those packages. Legal's been yelling at me over here. So we gotta go back and make sure we redact